Is Max Verstappen going to be beaten by his teammate this year? For years now, Max Verstappen has made Formula One look ridiculously easy. Pole positions, race wins, world championships, but mostly he's been absolutely destroying his teammates. Pierre Gasly, Alex Albon, Sergio Perez, the list goes on. One after another, they all lined up with big hopes and aspirations to be up there with Max. And every single time, Max just batted them straight back down to a midfield or a back running team. For a long time now, it's felt like nobody could get close to him. But this year might be different. It seems like he is human after all. For the first time since Daniel Ricciardo in 2017, Max Verstappen could genuinely be at risk of being challenged by someone on the opposite side of the garage to him. Now, I'm not saying that Max is all of a sudden a bad driver. He's far from it. He's still one of the most talented drivers Formula One has ever seen. But something feels a little bit different this year with our sloth-faced friend. And it's not just the fact that the car isn't as good as previous years. Last year, at the start of the season, the car wasn't great, but he was still putting it into podium positions. And most importantly, hammering the crap out of his teammate. He didn't have the best car, but he was miles ahead of Yuki Tsunoda every single race. This year, it seems like the results are not coming as easily. And for the first time in a very, very long time, we need to be questioning Max. And it feels weird saying that. Over the years, Max has become known for his blistering pace and his aggressive racing style and almost otherworldly consistency. For the last few years, Formula One has basically just been Max Verstappen featuring 19 guest appearances. It's like one of those Japanese game shows, you see the contestants turning up and you just sort of feel sorry for them because they haven't really got a hope in hell. However, things don't look quite so comfortable for him now. The season hasn't started the way that many people would have expected. There has been disappointing results. There's been mistakes. There's been reliability issues all over the place. And while Max is still producing those moments of brilliance that we know him for, we're not seeing the level of dominance and consistency that we've become used to. So, what's changed? Is it just the car? Or is there something else going on? Because outside of Formula One, alongside becoming a father, Papa Max has never been busier. Now, most Formula One drivers have hobbies. Some play golf. Lots of them play paddle. I was completely unsure what that was until I saw Drive to Survive. But Max's hobby is, well, more racing. When he's not driving a Formula One car, he's usually driving something else. GT cars, endurance cars, sim racing, etc, etc. He doesn't really take a day off, does he? Have an Aperol Spritz and a fruit plate. And usually that wouldn't be a problem. When you're winning races every weekend, no one really cares what you're doing with your spare time. But when results start becoming more difficult to achieve, people naturally start looking for explanations and asking questions. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that Max racing in other series is making him slower. In fact, you could argue that's exactly what's made him such a complete driver and dominated for so long. However, Formula One has just had one of the biggest regulation changes that we've seen for years. And here's Max spending all of his spare time playing around in GT cars at the Nürburgring. In cars manufactured by the enemy! Formula One is no joke. The costs are massive. The margins are tiny. And even the smallest distraction can make a big difference. So is it fair to say that there's a limit to how much time he should be spending in other cars? Sure, it's giving him plenty of practice all of the time so he doesn't get rusty, but muscle memory plays a big part in racing. And if he's spending more and more time in GT cars, is that going to make driving an F1 car a little less like second nature to him? Of course, he has a new teammate this year, again, and the comparison between them is important because the first person that every Formula One driver wants to beat, it's not the championship leader, it's the person sitting on the opposite side of the garage to them, which up until now has never really been a problem for Max. But this year, I think that we might be in for something different. You can't deny that Hadjar has been really impressive so far in the Red Bull. He's had the same string of bad luck that Max has had, retiring from 2 races. Although one of those was his own fault, clipping the barrier at Miami, and he did do the same thing in a practice session in Monaco, chicanes seem to be his Achilles heel at the moment. But that's nothing that Max didn't do in his first few years at Red Bull, and the gap between them at the moment is pretty close. Close enough that people are starting to take notice. And if they're not, they should. After both finishing the same amount of races so far this year, Hadjar is only 14 points behind Max in the standings. Verstappen's in 7th and Hadjar is in 8th, which I think is quite unusual to see. Hadjar has also had more podiums than Max this year. I think that he's been super impressive and he can't be overlooked. Hadjar being this close to Max in his first season at Red Bull is something to keep an eye on. I think it's really impressive. And let's not forget that it took Max 2 years at Red Bull before he beat Daniel Ricciardo over a season. And Ricciardo wasn't a 4-time world champion. I think at this point, being beaten by a teammate over a full season is something that would genuinely damage his legacy. But you know, Formula 1 changes quickly. All of a sudden, Red Bull could find themselves not battling for a World Drivers' Championship because they may have another battle developing much closer to home. And if Hadjar can keep closing the gap, then Max Verstappen could be facing something that he hasn't experienced in nearly a decade. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching. And if you enjoyed it, please do hit the like and the subscribe button to help support the channel. Cheers.